Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
Welcome back to the Stone Show. We're now going to be joined by veteran New York City Police Department officer Salvatore Greco, a man who served the people of New York as a police officer for 14 years without an unblemished record of service to the people, sometimes serving in some of the dangerous neighborhoods in New York for the graveyard shift. A man terminated for political reasons by the New York City Police Department, who's currently contesting that termination in court, where the judge has now twice dismissed motions to dismiss his lawsuit. But he has been a keen observer of the Adams administration. He agrees with me that the notion that Eric Adams is being prosecuted because he is a critic of Joe Biden's open borders policy, which President Trump actually joked about at the Al Smith dinner, is really not the truth. The truth is that Eric Adams ran for mayor as an advocate for the city being a sanctuary city. It is the policy, he said, of the city and the state that we accept illegal immigrants here with open arms. He is now faced with that calamity where they are jamming illegals into luxury hotels. The old Roosevelt Hotel, which is a national landmark, was once the political headquarters of Governor Tom Dewey, Mayor John Lindsay, and Governor Nelson Rockefeller, now a crime center, is also the Adams administration that has been putting these illegal shelters into some of the most stable but working class neighborhoods. In some cases, in Staten Island, even putting a illegals shelter which had no running water next to a Catholic girls' school. These are the policies of Eric Adams, who tells us crime is going down because they cook the statistics. Now, Salvatore Greco began predicting some months ago that there would be a rash of crimes and criminal indictments in this administration. Many scoffed at him. He pinpointed a restaurant in the Bronx called Can Sofrito, which he insisted was the headquarters of this Adams crime syndicate. Many dismissed him, but everything he has said has been borne out by criminal indictments and major news outlets. So, Salvatore Greco, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Thank you, Roger. It's an honor to be on WABC Radio once again. I hope everybody's having a great weekend.
All right. So let's get to the question of the Adams administration. Anyone who has read this indictment understands that this notion that he took some upgrades on Turkish Airlines, or he maybe got an extra Bloody Mary, as I think it was Kat Timpf said on Gutfeld, hasn't read this. Basically, Eric Adams not only took $10 million into his campaign from Turkish interests, which is illegal. He then used straw donors to submit those donations through the city's campaign finance matching funds money, matching it with taxpayer supplies dollars. So he's defrauded the taxpayers. But additionally, it appears that he took a $100,000 bribe in return for honoring an Islamic terrorist. Tell us about this.
That's right, Roger. So it was reported just the other day by Paul Sperry on X. I actually reposted it myself on X and on Instagram, and he's right here. It says, New York City Mayor Eric Adams let himself be bribed with $100K by the Muslim Brotherhood leader Recep Erdogan, which is, I believe, the son of the Turkish president, into erecting a monument to Islam, influencing Manhattan skyline with a Turkish consulate tower with curving facade inspired by Islamic crescent and featuring a mosque inside. That's from his sources. And Paul Sperry, been a reporter, I believe he reports for the Real Clear investigations or Real Clear Politics.
Also for,
and
for the New York Post as well, yes.
Oh, yes, for the New York Post. So he's been pretty accurate, whatever he puts out. He comments on many different politicians and also things involving Trump land. So with that being said, how can anybody think that anybody who's either Republican or Democrat is going to condone any action that Eric Adams has taken for himself, which is basically he's involved with multiple countries here, Roger. This Turkey thing is just the Southern District of New York. And this allegation, Roger, shouldn't surprise anybody because, as we know, I've stated this numerous times, Eric Adams, as a New York City police officer, when first he was a sergeant and then as a lieutenant, was a bodyguard for convicted felon Mike Tyson, convicted criminal Al Sharpton, and, of course, Reverend Louis Farrakhan, who himself is a radical. There, you know, anyone who says that Eric Adams supports all these different people, he sounds like Louis Farrakhan. So this Muslim Brotherhood that he's buttering up to, which are no friends of this country, Roger, should be alarming to tell you that Eric will do anything as long as it benefits Eric Adams. So with this being said, I don't understand when people get in this logic that they think this is a political hit job. He's taking money from this Muslim Brotherhood, and he took money from Turkey. And also you're going to be hearing about also from sources that we're hearing, and the New York Post reported this, and the Daily News have been reporting that the Eastern District of New York has their own indictments coming up, and that's involving China and his Chinese connection through Winnie Greco, one of his aides. So with this, with Turkey here, Roger, and China, this has nothing to do with this political angle. People want to say he was pro-illegal immigration. Roger, he campaigned that New York City was a sanctuary city. He stated as the mayor that New York City must remain, the official policy of New York City, that the borders must remain open. And may I remind people, and I hope President Trump is listening, when President Trump was going through his trial in New York City, the day that they were going to announce his verdict, Eric Adams at his press conference said he was in trouble at a time where the feds are also investigating Rikers Island. They've been doing that for many years, and they were looking into how it's being run. But he so happened to say he's going to keep it open just for President Trump. So, I mean, what can I say? To me, Roger, in my opinion, Eric Adams is a charlatan, and everything he's going through is self-inflicted. And it's really sad because he's a highly conflicted individual who loves to surround himself with corruptible people.
Sal, we got to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with NYPD veteran Sal Greco, who also has his own Sal Greco Show, which you can see on every popular internet platform. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back on the Roger Stone Show talking to New York City police veteran Sal Greco, also the featured player in the Sal Greco Show, available on many of the common podcast and internet outlets. So, Sal, the mayor insists that crime in New York City is going down. Joe Biden claimed the same thing in the debate. The FBI record numbers that were published were immediately disputed as cooked. It appears to me that the numbers that the city has put out are equally cooked. As a veteran police officer who knows many other police officers and is a shrewd analyst of these numbers, tell us what's going on.
Well, this is even better. It's better explained by my friend Sam Antar from WhiteCollarFraud.com, and he's former CEO of Crazy Eddie's, and he's a numbers guy. And he keeps referring me to these numbers being cooked. And how do we know this? Well, they underreport crimes by, suppose you were, punched in the face and they took your phone from you. That's technically a robbery. But what they'll do is mention that as an assault, and they'll say it's an assault 3, which is a misdemeanor, which, by the way, the misdemeanor crimes are through the roof in New York City. So as a misdemeanor, it does not go down as one of the 7 major felonies, and they'll just say that the felonies are down. So what they'll do is they cook the books. Later on, they can course correct after they give those numbers to the FBI by the end of the year. They will correct them within the next 4 months, so it's around March or April. And then all of a sudden, you see that the felonies were about 100, 200, 300 more than the original reported because they underreported it to not alert that the crime was going up, because this seems to be the norm under Eric Adams' administration. So that's how you cook the book, so to speak. And Sam Antar is a legend with this, and he's actually every week exposing these numbers. So you check him out on WhiteCollarFraud.com or at Sam Antar on X, and it's really mind-boggling, Roger, how nobody has stepped in to say, hey, what's going on with these numbers, and why is it every year it's the same thing where it's underreported and then misclassified, and then all of a sudden 5 months later in the new year, oh, these are real numbers from last year.
You have seen, as I have, the speculation that State Attorney General Letitia Tish James, who actually applauded the president, which showed a little bit of class at the Al Smith dinner, is contemplating a race for mayor in the event that Mayor Eric Adams cannot survive. Now, Mayor Adams says he's not going anywhere, but he doesn't really have the final say in that matter. The governor could remove him. The city council, I believe, can remove him. There is if indeed there's another round of indictments, as is speculated, his political position becomes more and more, I think, vulnerable. But I have seen substantial evidence that Tish James was among those who engaged in these activities on Act Blue, in which she took in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of suspect small contributions from donors through their credit cards. After Act Blue turns off the feature in which you have to test the donor's name and address to make sure they match the credit card, and then when you go to those donors, a woman, for example, in Nevada, who the records show gave to Tish James' campaign several times, she insists that she did not give that money. Sometimes people of very, very modest means have given astronomical sums of money to Democrat candidates, including Tish James and others, that is well beyond their means. One woman in Nevada, surviving on Social Security and disability, taking in $30,000 a year, has given $840,000. Not credible. Do you really think that that the Attorney General has real legal or political liability on these issues? The whole straw donor issue?
Yes, well, if we actually go back to her history, she was a city councilwoman, and she started in Brooklyn, and she is very chummy with the Bronx Democrat Party and the Democrat Party apparatus in New York State, which is essentially run by Carl Hastie, the Assembly Speaker of New York State. And just recently, Roger, at NYFocus.com, they said that $400,000 was disappeared. It doesn't exist under these campaign finance forms. Yet they happened to now amend it the other day, as reported by Jeff Coleman. And I immediately said, well, they threw numerous fundraisers at Con Sofrito, which we just mentioned, which was the now shuttered place, and the owner was the police commissioner's brother, where we know that they were operating illegally. You had these human trafficking allegations, which I have. I have the official document that proves that there is an allegation of this as a criminal referral for this, and also other numerous crimes. They were operating illegally. Their shed was a public safety hazard, deemed a public safety hazard. It's all reported in the city, New York Daily News, New York Post. You could all check it out. Just put it up on my show, the Sal Greco Show. And, Roger, she's standing there smiling with Jimmy Rodriguez, the self-admitted criminal mob associate manager of this place and former owner of the Jimmy's Bronx Cafe. He himself who has a checkered past. And how is she allowed to be involved in this place where now we're hearing that there's fundraisers, which I posted on my own X, that are not being reported? So there's, what is that called? Money laundering, Roger? So there's more allegations that we even missed in regards to the Bronx Democrat Party, who Letitia James' face is always at concert for. It was always there. It was numerous parties. So I think that she should be questioned or sanctioned for associations with a mob associate and Jimmy Rodriguez, and or whatever activities were occurring in this place or other places where there's money missing, Roger. She's the Attorney General. What is she doing involved with these people in these actions? I demand an investigation into Tish James, Carl Hastie, and all these New York State politicians or city politicians that had fundraisers, and there's no record of their fundraising on any campaign finance form, Roger. You know these things. If this was Donald Trump, Roger, what would be the outcome?
Oh, well, they'd already be indicted. Look, we stress again that these are allegations, and until a court rules on them, they are just that. But where there is smoke, there's fire, and the evidence is not only exists, but it has been widely reported by the New York Post, the New York Daily News, several other prestigious and reputable websites that cover New York State politics.